Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 265 on this special Thursday evening before the new year. And this is our old stomping grounds right up against Thursday night football. But who cares about football? We're here to talk about wrestling. I am the moderator, Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the NoDQ Review. Of course, Aaron Rift, as always, the reliable one, Walter Cruz in the house, and TJS bopping in last minute, but he made it. And this is our panel for tonight. Big G was on standby, but we'll have to bring him back again in the future. He should have responded a little bit earlier, but you know how that goes. What's going on, gentlemen? TJS, what's going on with you?
Hey, glad to be on. We just had crazy 2023. CM Punk's first match back. We're going to talk about it. I'm really liking this list of topics tonight. It's going to be a fun show, I think. Thanks for having me on, and really looking forward to it.
Thank you. I come up with those right around my lunchtime on the days of the show, unless it's Sunday. Then I do it like right around the middle of the day. And sometimes, you just got to go to NoDQ and look at the top headlines, what's drawing attention. And not every week is that easy when you're looking for topics. But we're in a good spot here going into the new year. There's some Royal Rumble talk I want to postpone until January. So we got some nice topics that are relevant heading into the next year. So stay tuned. Walter, what's going on?
Nothing much. It's here, the last review of 2023. Looking forward to the topics, and I'm just ready to get started. Make it quick with just the four of us.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the NoDQ Galaxy, though, and the contributors, content, and everybody, the columnists, everybody's in the chat watching this evening. So stay tuned because our topics will range from MJF to who could the devil be, CM Punk in Madison Square Garden, and maybe even Goldberg. Why would we talk about Goldberg? But stay tuned, NoDQ Galaxy, because we want to know who you think would be a great return to either the big wrestling companies. And when I say that, I mean WWE or AEW. If you're not on one of those two rosters, on cable or network.
Well, anyways.
Your third tier, or what happened?
You cut out.
Oh.
I thought that was me. I thought it was my internet. I was like, huh?
Anyway. So, and Aaron, I'm just going to go to you then. I didn't ask you. How's it going?
I'm doing well. It was a very eventful year for wrestling. 2023 is coming to a close. And because of the holidays, the NoDQ review schedule got thrown off. We're here on Thursday night. We'll be back on Sunday nights starting in the new year. Stay tuned for that. And thank you to everybody for tuning in on this Thursday night. It's going to be a big one tonight as we talk about some of the storylines as the year comes to a close. We'll also be talking about what could be to come in 2024. Shout out to Mr. Tito, NoDQ columnist. He's been pumping out columns left and right over the past several days. He must have some time off from work. It has been a fairly newsworthy couple of days, and it's been an opportunity for Mr. Tito to get some columns out. Check those out over at NoDQ.com in the opinion section. Shout out to the Cleaver, Colin Andrew, and I'm ready to go, Virtue. Final NoDQ review of 2023. Let's get it going.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are we good? It's been rainy and cloudy here in Northeast Ohio, so hopefully that doesn't do that again. So let's start talking. We didn't really talk about CM Punk much last week, which is a surprise based on ever since he's been back. He's been like hot news all over NoDQ. But he did return to in-ring action in WWE, first time in 10 years. And it was, of course, at a house show at Madison Square Garden, which was sold out. I believe he received a little plaque from the Garden. Selling out the Garden is still a huge thing these days. Heck, I remember a comedian back in the day, Andrew Dice Clay, who was like a very vulgar comedian, sold it out twice. And you become instant legendary. Now, I'm not saying Punk sold it out, WWE sold it out, but I don't think it's a coincidence that it might have helped sell some extra tickets once they knew he was going to be there. But, gentlemen, he had a match. And it was against Dominic Mysterio. Thoughts on it? Was this a good idea? Good idea to debut Punk back in in-ring action this way. And any thoughts if you did catch it online, right? Stuff got recorded, fans put it online. So most of us had the opportunity to go check some stuff out from this match. He was decked out in all black, maybe a tribute to Stone Cold. Who knows? Maybe he's not ready to show his new gear yet. But TJS, I'm going to start with you on this one. You seem super excited to keep track of this match as it was happening.
Yeah, man, I'm just going to say it feels so good to see CM Punk back in WWE. And the match looked great. I mean, the guy has not wrestled in 10 years, and he's still putting on a clinic. It wasn't a crazy, not like an instant classic, but standard tune-up match. And thought it was really good. And the crowd goes crazy for him, man. It's insane. I'm so glad to see him back. I hope that we get him wrestling again before the Rumble, on TV. But I was happy that someone did record that match, and I was able to see it. And I think Dominic was the perfect opponent to have. You have basically the one of the most over baby faces versus the most over heel in the company, I would say, besides Roman. So yeah, very good. And even though he hasn't wrestled in 10 years, he hasn't missed a beat.
Now, it's a good thing, I think, to do this.
Oh, we lost him again.
I think, yeah, he's probably going to say that it's a good thing to have him get ready for TV on a house show. It's probably where he was going with it. Oh.
All right. Well, I guess we'll pass it over to Walter Cruz and get Walter's thoughts on CM Punk having his match at Madison Square Garden. First one back since returning. Was it a good idea or not? Walter, we'll pass it over to you. Go ahead.
I think it was a great idea. Traditionally, house shows were always used to see people's chemistry, to practice what they were going to bring on live TV and see people's reactions to it. So the fact that he hasn't been in a WWE ring and hasn't done the WWE style in a while, it was good to do it. And like TJS said, it was the perfect opponent to do it again. Mr. Heat himself, Dominic Mysterio, because no matter what he did, the heat was going to be on Dominic. And what Virtue was talking about with his blade, with his trunks, I think I read on NoDQ that he met some gear couldn't fit or something, so he had to wear that one. But it was good to see him, and the feel and the atmosphere almost felt like more than a house show. Like if you watch those videos, that crowd was into it, and it was just perfect. And Rhea with her little tactics was hilarious. Like, or there's a video out there where she's like, I didn't do nothing. And it's her interaction with fans, just the whole environment. It's just, New York is a beast in and of itself. So to see that, I think it's the perfect place, the perfect opponent, and the perfect time to bring them back, to get them back in that WWE style, because it is different than AEW. AEW is more about flying and flipping and doing this and that. So you got to get more back to the use to the WWE style, and he's in tremendous shape and he looks happy. Every photo you see of Punk, he just looks extremely happy to be back there. Yeah. So it's awesome to see it.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So it's good. House show, sell extra tickets at the Garden, get him ready, right? Get him more WWE in-ring ready. And then people are going to talk about it on the internet, which WWE loves that. So not having that match on TV or a pay-per-view, that's why I thought it was a good thing. And now people are like, heck, let's see what happens. And look, I can't stand when, and this is, of course, the AEW diehards, where they want all that crappy trapeze in-ring action, which has killed the business and set expectations to a ridiculous level. And then the Punk will come out and just have kind of a standard match with Dominic and work it slower to get crowd reactions and stuff. And then people are like, oh, mediocre match. F you. For all you people that want to mark out to the in-ring action, you're just stupid, idiotic fans. And that stuff has no play. Like, once a pay-per-view, one match should be that style of wrestling like it used to be. Not every single match. But I had to say that. That's my stance, and it always has been. So, Aaron, I'm going to pass it over to you now. Punk getting internet attention during a dark match or a house show match. I mean, that's CM Punk for you, right? How many other people talk about house show matches? Well, like Roman has a house show match. You might see some highlights, but people don't talk about it as it's happening. But CM Punk, they do.
In a different era, I would say that it was a bad idea to give away his first match back at a house show. However, in this day and age, it doesn't really matter. WWE made a ton of money off of this house show, sold out crowd, and CM Punk is wrestling again coming up this weekend in Inglewood, California. Jeff Meacham's in the house. Jeff, are you going to that show at the Kia Forum? I'm just wondering if you're going to be there for CM Punk's match with Dominic. They have moved thousands of tickets for both shows, Madison Square Garden and Inglewood, since CM Punk's match with Dominic was announced. They're already making a ton of money off of CM Punk. It's not going to hurt the impact of his first televised match, which will probably be the Royal Rumble. They might try to pop a rating on TV and have him do something before the Rumble, but I would suspect his first time back on TV will be at the Royal Rumble, and the house shows, as mentioned, a way to give him a chance to get back in the mix and warm up for the Royal Rumble. So he's prepared. He's working in a WWE ring again in front of a WWE crowd. Yes, he was in AEW, but WWE is a different beast, and this allows him to get back into the groove. And I think it was the right call, 100% Virtue.
And hey, look, a house show match. No, sure, it was MSG, but we were talking about CM Punk because of it. Just plenty of things to come. And while we're kind of forecasting into the reviews that are going to start after the first of the year, I'm sure we'll have a nice segment about CM Punk talking about if he should win the Rumble. Maybe Sasha Banks should return, compete in the Women's Royal Rumble. So stay tuned for that. But I'm just plugging our future shows for the new year. Aaron, all caught up?
Ready to move on to the next topic.
Okay. So let's go over to AEW. And I know I've kind of been putting this topic off the last several weeks as Punk has kind of taken our attention. Roman came back for a week, and we just haven't really talked too much about AEW other than Tony Khan's internet meltdowns. Joe turns on MJF, right, after the Ring of Honor tag team titles were lost, and they're teasing this whole devil angle or devils. And I think now let's sit here and talk our speculation, what we think could happen, what could be a really good idea about this devil angle. I'm going to come over to you, Walter. And is there, I think Tony Khan and AEW have to hit this on the head. It can't be, like I like to say, a fart in church. This has to be good. There's a lot of things, we speculate. Could it be a series of people? Adam Cole, granted he has to get healthy. Britt Baker, maybe a team, like a faction. What do you think here? You got guys like Wardlow, somebody that needs a push and gets pushed to the moon. It's obviously going to challenge MJF, right? So we can narrow it down. But any thoughts here? I know some people in the chat, maybe even Tito specifically, might put out some names who they really think it should be. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, they really do. They got to hit a home run with this because it would just be yet another letdown. Like when he says there's these big announcements and then the announcements just don't add up. And it's got to be someone big. Yeah, I'm hoping Wardlow is part of it, but these stop and start pushes of Wardlow's just getting on my nerves. Like either keep them pushed and keep them hot, or drop them out of our TV for the foreseeable future, because why are you putting them on TV? Get these hot angles, get us excited about them, and then take them away. Like it just makes no sense. I think it's who's the one with the neck brace? Is it Roderick Strong?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's probably the main devil, and he's been playing it the whole time because he's jealous of
that's a letdown.
Adam Cole relationship. But that would be a letdown. Exactly.
Now Tito says he doesn't care about AEW, so he could have been trolling online. He threw the name like Goldberg out. Like that's how you make. I mean, and we'll talk about Goldberg and other wrestlers who really aren't in a major promotion right now in our main event. But that's kind of what I'm saying here. I mean, it can be somebody within the company if you're going to make them, so when you say Roderick Strong, right, he could be a great in-ring worker, which that's all Tony Khan cares about. And he only caters to the fans who care about that. But I mean, at least if it's Adam Cole and Britt Baker as a power couple, there's putting that okay, there you go. Like, throw Wardlow in there, maybe have a faction created, like, but they can't mess this up, man. Like if it was Roderick Strong and nobody else, come on, man. Like seriously,
they can't mess it up. And they got all these free agents, but none of them are like these huge stars that are just like, oh my God, he's back, like type people. Like, I mean, I respect Shelton Benjamin, Mustafa Ali, all these people, but nobody's like, it's almost like Dolph Ziggler is the biggest one they released out of all of them. And he's not the biggest. He's a hell of a worker, but he ain't the biggest star. Like, but I mean, it'll be cool to see him, and all due respect to him because his brother's there and everything. But it's not like the free agent of Punk moving from AEW to, like, you need like a Hulk Hogan popping up in WCW, like that kind of like, oh my God, like, so no matter what you do, you just got to hit a home run and do something, because if you let that down and you already scared of Twitter and Punk out and react to every little thing, Tony Khan reacts to every little trolling he gets, he has to reply. So if this is a letdown, he's gonna have a hell of a lot of replying to do.
Now, refresh my memory. Have they revealed devils before in the past? Who have they been? Haven't they done this thing before, Aaron?
MJF was the devil.
Okay, the only one. Like this isn't an ongoing thing where it's someone different every year. It was just MJF.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's happening against him, they can make something interesting out of this, right? Okay, TJS. Before you, I don't know if you're yawning or putting lipstick on, but chapstick. That I meant to say chapstick.
Chapstick to kiss your ass, maybe.
Chapstick. Go ahead, TJS. Talk about the devil or devils, and it's got to be a home run here, man.
This shit sucks, man. Like, oh my God. I usually don't watch Dynamite, but I was watching it last night just for this devil match. And when they put the text on the screen that said "pleasure doing business with you," this sucks. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just not interested anymore. I mean, I thought it was intriguing when it was just the one devil, but now that they're like, oh, the devil's henchman just jobbed out MJF and won the ROH tag titles. This sucks. And I know that everyone, like, people online are like, oh, this is going to be so, it's cinema, bro. So good. It's just not hitting for me. And you're right, Virtue. They've really got to nail this. Because if they don't, Barton Church, like you said, if I had to take a guess, I guess it has to be Adam Cole. I think anyone other than Cole is going to be a letdown. And really, I don't really want Adam Cole to be heel versus babyface MJF. I preferred the dynamic flipped, but I guess that's where they're going with this. It has to be Adam Cole, right? Like, I don't know. Who are you going to have? Mustafa Ali as the devil? Like, do you really think people? I don't know. Sorry.
The injury is what messed things up. That injury to Adam Cole messed things up. That's what happened. It threw a wrench in their plans.
Okay, drop the storyline then. That's what I would do. Like, man.
So do they throw a super curveball and have somebody like Bryan Danielson?
Hey, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, because he hasn't been AEW World Champion yet, has he?
No.
I don't know, but
do something.
Anything else?
No. I mean, I just hope the reveal is soon because I'm caring less and less each week.
Okay, so it's not building the anticipation for you. You want to get rewarded and see who this is already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're all right, Aaron. Over to you here on this fabulous topic of the Devil Mask, and the MJF's gimmick right back at him.
Right. So the pay-per-view is called World's End, and that makes me think that this is going to be the end of the world as far as MJF's world is concerned. Now, is he going to lose the title? That remains to be seen. We will be doing predictions Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is usually the SmackDown time slot, and they will be putting out a clip show, but wants to watch a clip show. Watch us do predictions. That'll be 8 o'clock, and we'll talk about that. TJS is going to be on, and Walter, maybe a few other people will be on. Stay tuned for that. Anyways, I would suspect that it is Adam Cole, and there is going to be a conclusion to that whole storyline. And if you've noticed, Adam Cole's been absent the last few weeks. He disappeared, which I think could be strategic to make people forget about him a little bit, and then he resurfaces as a surprise. He's the only one that really makes sense to me at this point, and maybe Britt Baker's part of the group and the Kingdom. But like Virtue said, I would love a curveball, like somebody that is on nobody's radar.
Yes, like
a big name. It's got to be a big name, though. It can't just be some random guy. It's got to be a significant name. Who did you say?
Danhausen.
Oh, yeah, Danhausen. There you go. That's the solution to AEW's problems.
Brian Danielson-hausen, maybe.
Yeah. People are saying Shane McMahon. I would say that's highly unlikely in all likelihood. But hey, I'm all up for a surprise. Maybe not Tony Khan, though. Like that screams Dixie Carter 2014.
I was going to say I'd be fine with Tony Khan doing it. He might as well.
Hell no.
He needs to be a character if he's going to.
No, I don't want him to be a character. I'm with Virtue. Stay your ass running the show. You're already a character on Twitter. Shut the fuck up and run your show. You're sorry I dropped the F-bomb, Aaron. But run your company and don't be on TV. We don't need that.
So whatever they do, it is important that they knock it out of the park, as Walter said, because a lot of people are already souring on AEW, and they need something that's going to get people reinvested. But who do they go with that will be satisfying to the majority of the audience? That's tough to say. Jack Perry would be a complete disaster. I think hit on that hard. Yeah, that I don't think is going to work out too well. Like CM Punk leaves, goes back to WWE, having a great run, and then Jack Perry, the guy that caused CM Punk to be fired, is the devil.
It'll be Jack Perry, and they'll start having audio of glass breaking as his entrance. Like,
could it be
just because of the whole glass thing?
So serious about this. I'm serious, and I hate because Kenny Omega's out, and I'm not saying that the diverticulated, like, that's a legit thing, and it wasn't a swerve, so he could be the devil. So I'm not saying Kenny Omega. Could it be the tandem of the Young Bucks?
I mean, that would be interesting.
Because didn't they kind of go away? Like, hey, they're taking. I don't know, but like that's the tandem of the Young Bucks, and got to throw it in there.
The thing is, though, the Bucks were around before. Actually, they were around when the Devil stuff had already started, so I'm not sure how that would even make sense that it would be them. It could be Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler, that's true.
But didn't the Devil stuff start before the 90 days? So how are they going to say it was him all along?
It doesn't have to be him wearing the mask. It's
was
the
never.
devil.
I mean, there's creative ways out of it. You could say you had other people playing it until I showed up. You know what I mean? They could really get smart with the smart fan base of AEW if they wanted to. But do they have anybody there that can think that way to cover the tracks? Probably not.
I mean, it could be Mustafa Ali. Maybe he can jump from one masked group storyline to another one in AEW. Never say never,
damn it.
right?
Jericho teased Enzo. Why not bring Enzo into the company as the devil? Why not? That would pop me. That would be
more. Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the guys that are out there that have been dormant for a while. Before we move on to the main event, since we're still kind of talking about AEW, I was going to make this as a topic, but I didn't. But I just want to kind of go around and get. We're not going to be picking on tweets because we talked 40 minutes last week about Tony Khan and his meltdown on Twitter, but. You know, Chris Jericho's kind of jumping in and being like the wingman for Tony Khan and meddling with like Cornette. You just don't meddle into Cornette's business. He will slay anybody. So what I want to talk about just real briefly, an impromptu topic, and I think the chat will liven up on this, is Chris Jericho, like, is he burnt out? There's something. I know he was the first world champion, and I was kind of excited that early run in AEW. And then, somewhere just around the pandemic, after the pandemic, man, this isn't the Chris Jericho I know. and I'm not saying he's doing a bad job, a poor job, but what did we have in WWE when he wasn't main eventing? He gave us creative stuff like The List, the Festival of a Friendship with Kevin, just stuff like that. None of that in AEW is resonating with me. Is this Jericho just kind of like mailing it in, however you want to describe it, just to collect the paycheck in AEW? TJS, why haven't I been feeling one of my favorites of all time? I just cringe with Jericho stuff lately. Why? I talk to me. This is like a therapeutic session for me. I'm trying to figure what's going on with him. Age, burnt out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Actually, it feels like it's been the same thing with Jericho for a long time. He's had the Judas theme.
Yeah,
he's come out there, done his standard Jericho stuff, and like you said, it's different because in WWE we had Festival of Friendship, we had The List. He was constantly coming up with something new and keeping himself fresh. But now it just feels like, okay, we need star power, so send Chris Jericho out there and. Let's team him up with Sammy Guevara again. Like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And I think that this might be because AEW is more pro wrestling than it is sports entertainment. And maybe they're telling them not to do any character work. Maybe they're just telling them to go out there and try to keep up with the young kids who want to do all the flips. Yeah. I don't know. But I agree. I used to get really excited to see Jericho come out because I mean, that's a pro. He's one of the best to ever do it, but I would not be. I don't know how much longer his deal is with AEW, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just wants to get out and get to WWE again because I feel like, his career is probably winding down, and I definitely would like to see one more WWE run because, like you said, Virtue, this AEW, I'd say like you said, about after the pandemic, it's probably or right as it started. It's really just. I just don't care, and I hate to say that, but when was his feud with Cassidy? When was that?
2020.
Okay, yeah. So after he put over the Orange Man, everything went downhill. It seems like, but yeah, I agree. I'm hoping that either he freshens things up or jump ship. And yeah, I don't. So I saw those posts on X with the lawyer. That was Punk's lawyer that he was arguing with, right?
Correct. Who's also Jim Cornette's lawyer.
Oh, yeah, and again, Jericho wrestler working, getting reactions publicly, not giving too many. He said he was there and he saw everything, and he doesn't have an NDA, but like he can say like he didn't say anything. He just said that, and it could be a wrestler working to get reactions, but. Man, it's just not like those. You got to be on your game when you're going up against Cornette's crew, and it's just unlike Jericho. And he used to be kosher with everybody, And then I think a lot of politics got in the way with Jericho and some other people in terms of political affiliations and acting. We don't talk about here. And then all of a sudden, people hate each other. That's why Aaron's like, never talk religion and politics because it only creates. Rifts, right, Aaron?
Right. Where was Jericho's wife on January 6th?
I and that one more time.
But again, we're talking about what he's doing in wrestling right now. Walter, you want to add anything to this? You're on mute.
I love Jericho, but with a boss like Tony Khan who can't stay his ass off Twitter and off the phone and not focusing on his product, it's hard not to be burnt out. I agree with Jeff. I think the whole roster is just burnt out. Like they're sick of his crap, and it's like now people are probably seeing the truth about what happened. It really wasn't all Punk. People starting to see it. Maybe Jericho's like, and I feel like all this Twitter talk that he's doing, maybe that is him trying to freshen it up, but he needs to do something. Like I feel like Judas has played out him coming out with that song, even though the fans are doing it, and that's what he was iconic for. It's like. Change something up, your outfits, your music, come up with a different Fozzy song, do something. Like, I don't know what it is. And I love Jericho. Like, I've seen him in live as Fozzy playing in bands. I've seen him wrestling, but it's just something. He hasn't done that thing where he goes away for a few years and then comes back and refreshes it. And
you're right. Now, he was remember when he looked kind of bloated for a while there and we're like, man, And then he took, I don't know, it was like a month. We really didn't see him, maybe a little over a month. And he came back ripped. Like, I'm encouraged. Like, I'm glad he took the time to get back into that Jericho way, healthier way, whatever the problem was, whatever he was dealing with. Like, so I like to see that transformation. We at least got that. But just the whole thing, maybe because Tony Khan books matches and feuds, and Jericho is just in that environment at his age, like the Hardys, they get it's just not what it used to be.
It's not.
Aaron, you want to add anything before we?
He should go on a tour. He should go on a tour with Fozzy, stay off TV for a few months, and then come back and redo something with his character. Like maybe do that, something like that.
Jericho has
Punk. Maybe
Jericho
Punk going. He might have that WWE itch coming back now after he saw what just happened with Punk. But go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, never say never, right? Jericho has been the master of reinventing himself. The problem is, as you guys mentioned, there really hasn't been much of a change in him in the past 4 years. As mentioned, the Judas music, he's been using the same music. He's changed his look up a little bit, but he has gotten stale. And not just that, I feel like his star power has been watered down a little bit from losing too much. Like, I get he wants to help give the young guys the rub and put them over, but who has really benefited from losing or beating Chris Jericho? Who has benefited from beating him? Maybe Orange Cassidy, but certainly not Action Andretti. And even Powerhouse Hobbs is kind of just a background player still. Like, he hasn't really had his breakout moment despite destroying Chris Jericho. They should be talking about that on TV every single week. The Rocket should be strapped to Powerhouse Hobbs, and it's not. He's just there. He's just a guy. And that waters down Jericho. Like, now, who cares? If somebody beats Jericho, it doesn't matter anymore. It was special the first time it happened. Now it just means nothing. It's the same thing with Jeff Hardy. Like, you have the guy there, but beating Jeff Hardy means nothing right now. And same thing applies to Chris Jericho. Like you said, he needs a break, whether it's AEW or just doing Fozzy. He needs some time off. TJS?
I was just going to say, do you think that maybe these legends, I don't want to put it mildly, Jericho, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Edge, do you think these guys maybe are losing motivation when they see like these low ticket sales or
it has to affect your morale and your attitude when you see the ticket sales struggling. And Jericho, he was quite arrogant. I mean, we saw this happen with Eric Bischoff in WCW. Bischoff was always bragging about the attendance for WCW, and then things started going south, and he had to see his own company fall, and that was a bitter pill to swallow. Walter?
I was just gonna say, even Adam's run already is burnt out to me. Like, it was this beautiful thing. He came out, it was this big thing about whether he signs AEW, then it just kind of went to me. I don't know. Even though he's got the whole thing with Christian, it just like seems like even Adam his run isn't even living up to what we all thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. I mean, and you got Danielson with like a fractured orbital bone, like wrestling in front of like a half-empty arena. Like, man, I mean, don't forget like WrestleMania 30 when that guy main evented, and that was packed. And then you have Edge, and the Hardys returned at WrestleMania 33, and they had a crazy crowd pop. And just, I don't know, man, but I kind of think that they might be, all of these legends that are so used to full arenas, I think they might be losing motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at both of them, Adam Copeland and Chris Jericho. They are two of the best of all time. Nobody can take that away from them. They have great legacies, absolute all-time Hall of Famers. But, and TJS, you might understand this. Paul McCartney is one of the greatest musicians of all time, but even Paul McCartney at some point gets stale and the record sales drop, and he's just not the guy he was at his peak. And everybody passes their peak eventually. Every single one of us passes our peak at some point. And I think that's what has happened with Adam Copeland and Chris Jericho. WWE knew how to make the most out of Adam Copeland / Edge. They knew how to treat him as a legend. Adam Copeland wants to do something different. He wants to go out there and and be on TV. Although, quite frankly, he hasn't really been on TV much more than he was in WWE. Like he's not there every single show like he said he was going to be. He's not wrestling every single week. So they are treating him like a special attraction. Only problem is it's AEW and he doesn't feel like a special attraction. And that's that. So I think Jericho needs to take some time off. Copeland, I mean, he made his decision. I mean, I think they either got to have him on TV every week or try to do what WWE was doing, but that's why he left, right? So not really sure what you do with him at this point.
And it sucks because they can do it because look how they do Sting. Sting is fun, the special attraction, and it's right, but it's like, how come you can't do that? You can't duplicate it.
To AEW's credit, I think they've done very well with Sting and Christian for that matter too, but everybody else, not so much. Anyways, I've said my piece on it.
Let's move on. Main event time. And this is why I had Aaron put that thumbnail up, because we're going to go around the panel here, plus whatever the NoDQ Galaxy in the chat says. But who would you like to see return to either AEW or WWE or make their debut for a company that they've never been in? And we have quite a bit we can say. I mean, we got guys like, there's Goldberg out there. I say that laughingly, but Dolph Ziggler. Nick Nemeth. Enzo Amore, and then The Rock, right? The Rock hyping. Maybe is he going to show up at the show in Australia? Is him and Roman maybe still on at some point next year? A lot of possibilities here. Heck, we can even say, MJF, will he leave? Will he follow his friend Cody over to WWE? There's stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and start with you here first, Walter. For me, obviously, I always want Rock and Roman, right? But I'm just going to wait, and if it happens, it happens. But I'm very, very surprised that Enzo has not – I know he did a little MLW stuff, and he's done some indie work. He worked a lot with Brian Pillman Jr. in some indie shows a couple years ago. And I guess, though, they had some really good matches, and it seems like Enzo has matured from the run that he had in WWE where he was out partying a lot as the Cruiserweight champion and all that, the allegation stuff, which obviously that all blew over. But Enzo is a draw as a manager, as a mouthpiece. I want to see him back. And we talked about it, TJS. That would have been great for him to be Jericho's partner. I don't even think that's the thing anymore. I think they completely restructured that match. Could you just imagine Jericho bringing Enzo back, and then at the end of the match, Enzo really turns on Jericho, joins Big Cass again? I mean, that's what sports entertainment I know people don't like Enzo because he's not that in-ring worker, but the dude's entertaining.
Yep.
I've said this 100 times. I'm going to say it again. WWE was going to have him headline a house show circuit for the cruiserweights. Okay? Now that division is completely gone. Walter, I'm going to start with you on this topic. There's a lot. Hey, Sean Spears is recently out there now. Go ahead. There's a lot to unpack. Say some names that might surprise us. I don't know. The chat's already kind of doing it.
I agree with you with the whole Enzo thing. Because that was supposed to be an insult to Big Bill, and all you did, like Aaron said on one of his streams, is make me want to see him now. It was supposed to be like an insult, and all you did was make me want to see him. Now, you said return to companies. I know AJ Styles is doing beautiful in WWE and everything, but before he retires,
or debut.
Before he retires, I would love to see him one more time in Impact Wrestling, just because it's where he started and where we know him from. So I would love to see that. A lot of cats saying that Goldberg crack, get Goldberg the hell out, leave him, let him ride off into the sunset. I do not want to see that. But I would have loved to see Adam and Christian back in WWE as a tag team at one last run, do the things. I mean, everybody knows they're not brothers and they're best friends, but I would love to see that one more time. I don't want to see the Hardy. I see a lot of Jeff's Hardy, but I don't want to see Hardy back in WWE. He needs to ride off into the sunset too, because I'm just over them, and I was the biggest Jeff Hardy fan ever. But so Enzo, and I want to see Mercedes Moné with this roster now and everything coming up from NXT. I would love to see her come back to WWE as a surprise. And then, of course, CM Punk's wife, AJ. I would love to see her come back as one more run in WWE. Even if it's a managerial role. She doesn't have to wrestle if her neck is like that. But even imagine Punk just coming back and having AJ as his valet. Like all it is, you don't even have to be back in ring. Just be his manager and bring back how like Sensational Sherry was. Like that'll be awesome. That'll be cool to see Punk with his wife as a partner up like that. So those are some of the names I want to see.
AJ and WWE, perfect scenario, right?
Yeah.
That's one. We probably should have had her on the graphic. Again, a lot of these could be pipe dreams, but as you know, never say never, and we've learned that this year. So, if somebody else pops in your head, Walter, while we're talking about this, go ahead, raise your hand. But I'm going to go over to TJS and see what he has to say.
Yeah, all right. I've got 3 of them. So, like Walter said, I actually would like to see AJ Lee come back. I think that would be great. Will it happen? I kind of don't think so. I feel like she's just content doing what she's doing. Punk got the bug whenever he went back to AEW. And I feel like if we were going to see AJ again, she would have just went to AEW. But since she didn't, I kind of don't see that happening. Second, I really would like to see Enzo back. I mean, this guy, like you said, Virtue, he's matured a lot, it seems, and charges were dropped, so I see no reason why not. I think that
and TGS, it's not like he has Ryback heat, Alberto Del Rio heat. He doesn't have anywhere close to like those guys. Right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I mean, I think that he makes Big Bill a lot more entertaining, quite frankly. I'd like to see Enzo and Cass rather than Big Bill and Ricky Starks. I just think Enzo's very entertaining. So I'd love to see him back. Also, Aaron, I know you're not going to like this one, but I kind of want to see Zack Ryder come back to WWE.
I was waiting for someone to say him.
Yeah, I feel like he would fit in pretty nicely. You know, they just got rid of Ziggler. Maybe you can bring in Ryder as a good little hand, kind of like Ziggler was.
You got to bring him back as Cardona, not as Ryder. Let him be who he is now and keep that. Don't change him back to Ryder.
Let's still call him Zack Ryder. I think they probably want to copyright the Zack Ryder name. They don't. So, and okay, I got one more, and no one has said this one. I want to see The Undertaker wrestle one more time in 2024. I really do. I feel like he didn't get a proper send-off. I think that Boneyard match was good, but I think that he deserves his moment in front of the fans. And I believe that Survivor Series was a Thunderdome show, wasn't it? Where he did his retirement ceremony.
Yep.
I feel like he needs to do one more match just to get the proper send-off. I don't know if that's going to happen, but he did end that Hall of Fame speech with Never Say Never. So I really would. I'd like to see him one more time. One more match. Oh, what do you got?
I just thought of one. I would love to see Mr. Kennedy.
I told you would. Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, Mr. Kennedy back in WWE. Yeah, as a Rumble surprise, just to hear that. But he's got to be like the number 1 or number 2 entrance just so he can have the mic and do that big entrance. Like he can't be like number 17 or 18. Yeah.
He was one of those guys that just kind of disappeared, but he started training. He started becoming a trainer and training people. And some people, I know, you know, we really haven't seen Gable Steveson, and he's just kind of floundering in NXT. But just the fact that Kennedy was still kind of helping out the business, that means they always have that itch. So why not put the boots on one more time, bring that microphone down? That's a good one, Walter. I'd like to see that. Royal Rumble would be perfect for that.
Are you guys don't want to see Undertaker again in the ring?
No, that's a good, anytime. It has to be done right. But like, you know, Kennedy, obviously that's to me more likely. So you get more excited about the more likely scenarios.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, your thoughts on this?
There's a lot of rumors going around, and I feel like the most likely one is Sasha Banks returning to WWE. I would not be shocked to see her appear at the Royal Rumble and officially make her WWE comeback. Bill Goldberg, I do not think we will see him wrestle again. I think he's done. He had his run. That's it.
You saw what he
Roman Reigns on the way out. That's it. Nothing else left for him to do. I don't think Tony Khan's going to spend the money on him. I would not rule it out, but I think it's unlikely. Then you have Enzo, as we talked about. I don't think we're going to see him. I think that's a pipe dream, but I would love to see Enzo. He's a great entertainer, but damn, I'm not thinking it's going to happen. People mention more Ronaldo. You know, he's got his mental health stuff that he's dealing with. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it happen. And some of the Royal Rumble possibilities, the one I think that's the most likely is Ken Shamrock coming back at the Royal Rumble, going into the Hall of Fame. I think that's pretty realistic. Mr. Kennedy is a great choice. I'm trying to think of some other people that would be interesting for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I'm not sure, but definitely Ken Shamrock. And I don't know the status of some of the wrestlers that are under contract to AEW. Like I don't see some of the rumored WWE top names leaving, like Drew McIntyre, people that have their contract coming up. I don't see that happening. Xbox Sean Waltman would be an interesting one for the Royal Rumble. I would be down for that. Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat, not the real Mr. Anderson, but Mr. Anderson nonetheless.
How do you know?
I know, trust me. Says, give me a yeah if you want me back at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, we definitely want you back, Mr. Anderson. The real Mr. Anderson. We want Mr. Kennedy. It's got to be Ken Kennedy coming back at the Royal Rumble. No Shane McMahon. No Jeff. Bad Jeff. Do not mention Shane McMahon. I'd rather see him as the devil in AEW. That would be more interesting than him coming back and getting hurt again. We don't need Shane McMahon. With all due respect to him, I think that's enough. So yeah, I've said all the names I can think of. I mean, there's plenty out there. I don't know when Ricky Starks' contract is up, but whether it's 2024 or 25, I think Ricky Starks ends up in WWE once he's out of AEW. And I don't think MJF is going anywhere. He's another name people were talking about.
I got one.
We've said this before. Go ahead, Virtue. And then
and again, because I have stock on this guy, and I want to see him still get some TV time, make a difference. And it would have to be AEW. He could even come back to WWE, because you never say never. It's Riddle. Like Riddle, like what has he done wrong? Like in terms to the business, nothing. Like we know he takes pot or whatever. But if he like he's not like Del Rio and Ryback. So I throw him in the hat as well. Sometimes when guys come back with chips on their shoulders, that's the best thing. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but I want to make sure nobody mentioned Matt Riddle. So
yeah,
why not? Why not?
And we did put him in the thumbnail, The Rock. Like there's always that possibility.
Oh yeah.
And he even teased it with this fan that he did a Make-A-Wish for, but I'll believe it when I see it. Again, CM Punk, we all thought was maybe far-fetched, not so much you, Virtue. And I did think he'd be back at some point. The Rock, though, I think time is really running out for him physically for him to do another match. So if it doesn't happen this year, I think the door is going to close on that for good. Walter?
I would love, like, after the Usos have their one-on-one, I think you plan the reunion, you bring Rikishi back, and they come back as the Usos, and they do it for their father. Like I know it's like I did it for The Rock, but it's like their father convinces them, you guys are blood brothers, you guys are twins, you shared a womb, you got it. And then eventually they just get back together, and it's all because of Rikishi, and he's back on TV, but just for that, not wrestling, but just to reunite the Usos.
Maybe we get one more Goldust appearance at some point. I'm not
There's
sure
a story,
what his
like
status is.
WWE has a story that writes itself with Riddle. Have him come out of the crowd in a hoodie and attack Orton. There you go.
I was going to say that. Attack Orton.
I don't know. You never say never.
Yeah.
When we've seen Punk come back to WWE, I always hold out hope. But I wouldn't mind if Riddle went to AEW. I just want to see this guy get another chance. I don't think he's done anything to hurt anybody, just because of the lifestyle that he lives. And he was entertaining. I mean, in the WWE bubble, he did as much as he could with that gimmick, with what they allowed him to do. And with Orton, it really worked well. And then he kind of fizzled after Orton got hurt. So there's potential there. This is coming from the guy that saw Shield Roman in a SWAT team uniform with the Shield music for years, saying this guy has something that people will agree with if it's done right. And look what happened. I was right there. I know it's contingent to booking and making people go out of their comfort zone, but Riddle is a straight up MMA ass kicker coming out and beating up Orton. Like, that's entertaining. You can make some money with that. I want Enzo back. I mean, these are guys that entertain me.
Right.
Yes, Walter.
I got a funny joke one, just as a joke, but as a FU to Tony Khan and a middle finger as a Royal Rumble. Even if it's only for like 10 seconds and throw his ass right now, I would have Disco Inferno as a surprise entrance, just as a FU to Tony Khan. Just funny. Even if they throw him out, I would crack up if they
just
did
as
that.
a gag, like R-Truth would eliminate him. Do a little comedy with R-Truth. Come out, Disco Fever. Coming out there, the disco ball. Yes.
The problem with that, and this is the truth, and this is partly why he never had the WWE run once WCW was bought, is it's very known that he's a big Russo, like him and Russo are buddies, and that kills your opportunity. Like you just don't.
Oh, Virtue.
They don't like Virtue. They don't like Russo over in WWE land. But
another thing, this is kind of going back to that other topic. Vince Russo or Jim Cornette as the Devil, I'd be hooked to the TV if that happened. But
yeah.
Like
mostly Jim Cornette. Mostly Jim Cornette.
Because Russo doesn't have any interest in doing it anyways.
Yeah, like Russo wants to write. He won't admit this, but he, there's no good writing in wrestling according to him. That's because he wants to come back and write for wrestling. So I don't think he'd want to do any on screen.
Right,
but Jim Cornette has always been that. Yeah.
Like if Cornette formed a group to try to take out AEW or make it like an NWO type group where we're gonna give the fans a real good wrestling product, not what AEW was doing. I'd be interested in that.
Put the Wardlows, the Powerhouse Hobbs, the guys that Jim Cornette like openly like says these guys are great. Why aren't they getting pushed? What about Bischoff?
Yeah, I would be interested.
He's been cracking AEW a lot lately, but again, let's be honest, that stuff's never going to happen. That kind of reveal these days, just Tony, they're afraid of the backlash from the diehard fans that don't want that stuff, and they don't want to upset them. So we're never going to get something outside the box like that.
No, I would laugh so hard.
They don't want to make their diehard base upset, and it's going to be whoever it is. It's going to be focused on long wrestling matches that will follow up from that. That's why we can think Adam Cole. Yeah.
Kickouts at 2 9/10. Everybody doing their forearm strikes back and forth, chopping each other. The guy daring me, hit me again, give me more. They do that every match now, and that's 5 stars when the guys just chop each other, which I like when it's done once in a while. But they do it every single match now. Every guy's like, "Come on, hit me more," and then they start no-selling things like their Hulk Hogan brother, like it's the main
and
event.
That's 5 stars. You might as well bring him as a freaking AEW on-screen character since he kisses AEW's ass so much.
Yeah, see, that's what we want as wrestling fans. There's always a want to see somebody jump ship, somebody return. Punk. Now that Punk's back, we're gonna like this run, but our brains are already thinking Rock, Roman, or just we want that surprise element. We want that holy shit factor, and that's just what it is.
But the Rumble is always fun when we get some surprises. And Mr. Anderson sent in $2. Thank you for that. Says, bring back Kai and Tai for the Rumble. I mean, any throwback to the Attitude Era would be fun. Like they had Scotty 2 Hotty before Dynamite, but like if they brought in a classic, not Val Venus, but maybe the Godfather, we haven't seen him in a while, just for fun at the Royal Rumble. But I want to see some guys we haven't seen in a long time. So Kai and Tai would be a good choice.
Heck, Carlito came back like that. Why not Mr. Kennedy? I mean,
for sure.
And why not? Why not Mr. Kennedy? Well, it's probably going to be Randy Orton. Randy Orton won't be in the Rumble, but wouldn't that have been something had he been in the Rumble and then Kennedy came out when he was in there? But we'll see.
Damian Sandow, I think that's that's a serious contender for me. I think he needs to be brought back.
Billy's got him locked up in NWA, doesn't he?
Is he in?
I keep thinking about this guy. I would cry if I see him. I swear.
What about
laughing so hard?
Oh man, he did.
What about Bart
he
Gunn?
just Bart. There you go.
Butterbean.
Some of
Bring
these
back
people
Butterbean for the
just
Rumble.
disappeared from existence. Man.
Yeah, but realistically,
RVD.
I think
Oh yeah,
fans know
RVD. He's always a good one to throw out there.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that, even though we've seen him on AEW as of late. So, yeah, we'll see what they do. 2024 should be a big year in wrestling. If 2023 was any indication, AEW is going to need to make some moves to stay competitive. Can WWE keep their momentum going? That remains to be seen in the new year.
So, Aaron, when are we going to be back next? We're not obviously doing anything on New Year's Eve, but the following Sunday, what date is that? The 7th, the 8th?
Something like that.
7th.
That's when we're going to be back to our regular time, 8 p.m. on Sunday. But all right, great show, everybody. And we know how this works. Thursday night, I know it caught a lot of people off guard, and they're watching those red-hot Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football right now. But let's go around and do our plugs and see if we can get out of here. TJS, good to have you back. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
Oh, well, like I said, good to be back, guys. Loved it. Great show tonight. Thanks for having me. You can follow me on X at TYLRJSPHSMTH. That's Tyler Joseph Smith without the vowels because my name is one letter too long. So, yeah, again, thanks for having me. Look forward to 2024. Hope everyone has a safe and happy new year.
All right, thank you. Okay, Walter, Mr. Reliable.
Yeah, on Twitter, Twix, whatever you want to call it. I'm at Walter Alex Cruz. We got the Cow Fire Farm Instagram, the Rage of Wrestling YouTube channel, and then of course open mic night this Sunday, the special New Year's Eve special where Jeff has some guests coming in. So please tune into that. And other than that, thanks for having me up here, and it was good to see everybody, and Happy New Year's to everybody.
Good having you on, as always. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, I might actually stop on Jeff's stream this Saturday night, so you guys can check that out. Open mic night or not Saturday, Sunday night.
Sunday.
Hey, you're going to have a late night Saturday, Aaron.
Yeah, Saturday is AEW, so Sunday night is New Year's Eve. I'm mixed up with the dates. Sunday is New Year's Eve. Jeff Meacham's doing open mic night. I may stop on for a few minutes for the beginning of that stream. So check that out. And Jeff is moving Talk Wrestling back to Monday nights. Actually, I'm not even sure he was on Monday nights, but Talk Wrestling on Monday nights. And he'll be talking about the year-end awards. Maybe I'll tune in and join him for that one as well. Check that stuff out and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Thank you all for supporting NoDQ throughout 2023. Looking forward to the new year and what's to come. We'll be back after the new year, 7th of January, Sunday, whenever that Sunday is, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back in our normal time slot. Hope to see you guys then. And thank you all again for a great show tonight.
Yeah, nice little filler show here on our Thursday, Retro Thursday. Go to nodq.com/merch. Go to x.com and follow me if you dare at nodq_virtue. That's all I got. And we will be back after the new year. So everybody, Happy New Year. And we will see you in 2024 as we get ready to go towards the Royal Rumble. For Aaron, for TJS, for Walter, and for the whole NoDQ crew, NoDQ Galaxy, good night, everybody. See you next time.